Hello class, this is Dr. Flood. This video will be on computer assignment number 9, and that is how to calculate a chi-square test of independence on SPSS. Hold on one second while I pull up that particular screen, that being the SPSS program. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, so what you should have in front of you right now should be the IB and SPSS splash page. You're just gonna close that out. And then now you should have the SPSS data editor in front of you. And we're going to click on to variable view. And we are going to input the variables from our sample problem, which in this case, the variables are, let's see, the variables are patient, visitors, and treatment. We are going to change the decimal values to 0 for all 3 of these variables. We are going to change the scale of measurement for these variables to nominal. All 3 are going to be nominal variables. Then we're going to click back onto data view. All right, and then we're going to input data for each of these variables. So I'm going to put that I have, working with 5 participants. Now for the variable visitor, that's a nominal variable with a couple of different categories. So the categories of visitor is 1 represents they get frequent visits, 2, they get occasional visitors, and 3 means the person gets rarely or never gets a visitor. So I'm going to put in some numbers for that. All right, and then treatment is also a nominal variable, and it is going to have 3 different levels for that particular variable. So 1 is going to represent excellent treatment, 2 is going to represent fair treatment, and 3 is going to represent poor treatment. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so now we have data, we have our variables and we have data for the variables. So we're going to now run the analysis, or go ahead and try to run this analysis. So you're going to click on Analyze. Then you're going to click on Descriptive Statistics. And then you're going to go to Cross Tabs. Then you're going to click on Cross Tabs. It's going to bring up a dialog box. And you are going to move visitors into the row box. You're going to move treatment into the box labeled columns. All right, once you do that, you're going to click onto this box on the right-hand side called cells. And you are going to check off observed, which is already checked off for you. You're going to choose expected. You're going to go down here and choose row, and you're going to choose column. Then you're going to click continue. And then you are going to click on statistics on the right-hand side. And you're going to select chi-square. And then you're going to choose, once you click on chi-square, you're going to click on continue. And then you're going to check OK to run the analysis. All right, so once you do that, let's make sure you can see that. So I'm gonna share my screen with you again. Okay. All right, so you should see the SPSS output. So I have here case processing summary, where it's going to tell you things like, how many are in your sample, and if there are any missing values. Then you have the visitors and treatment cross tabulation, which is going to essentially is the matrices that we've been building or talking about in the PowerPoint presentation and the lectures. I'm not going to go into great detail on this because you should, before doing these, you should watch the SPSS videos that correspond with this. But it's going to tell you things like the expected and the observed frequencies, all right, and the breakdown of it. Then over here is we have the chi-square test itself, the statistic, right? And it's going to tell you the degrees of freedom, the p-value, and the chi-square statistic value that you would have calculated if you did it by hand. All right, so I'm going to move, let's see, in the sample problem, you're asked to copy and paste the case processing summary, the visitors and treatments cross tabulation, and the chi-square test. So all three of these output, you're going to transfer over to a Word document. All right, so let's bring up this Word document here. Copy. So I'm going to paste this right here. All right, so now I'm going to copy the visitors and treatment cross tabulation. And I'm going to copy the chi-square test. All right. Let's just still make sure that you can see this. Okay. So now what you should have in front of you, all right, is going to be the sample problem for the chi-square test of independence. And we have to answer a number of questions, right? So the first question was to copy and paste all three of those outputs into the Word document. So we did that. Then it's the answer, what is the null and alternative hypothesis? And you can get that from, listening to the lecture and going over the PowerPoints. The fifth question asks, did any of the expected cell frequencies have a value or a count greater than 5? Well, in this one, 9 of the cells have expected counts that are less than 5. So the answer for this would be no, none of them had any expected cell frequencies greater than 5. And you could find that answer out by looking right under, we have the chi-square test. You look right over here. And it tells you that. So there's 9 cells in this, this matrix. And so 9 of those cells have expected counts less than 5. The minimum expected count is 0.20. Next question is, what is the degrees of freedom and the p-value? Well, we're going to be looking right here where it says the Pearson's chi-square. And the degrees of freedom we have for that is 4. And we today, when we're doing the chi-square statistic, the p-value that we have is 0.181, right? And we're comparing 0.181 to our alpha level of 0.05. In this case, 0.181 is greater than 0.05, when the probability value is greater than the alpha level or significance level of the 0.05. That means we are going to fail to reject the null hypothesis. If it was less, if our p-value that we get is less than the alpha or significance level, then we would reject the null hypothesis. All right. Then we're going to fill in the blanks. All right. So a statistical procedure was conducted. Well, it's the procedure that we just did. All right. For variable 1, right, just name the variables that we used. And this asks all expected self-frequencies were greater or lesser than 5. Well, in this case, all expected self-frequencies were less than 5. And then we're going to state if there was a statistically significant or non-statistically significant association between, and then put the variable 1 and variable 2. Well, for me, for this data, there was a non-statistically significant association. Then right here, we're going to plug in that we have a chi-square. All right, we did a chi-square test. The degrees of freedom, which was 4, right? And the sample size, which is, we could find that out by moving up. The sample size is 5, right? Sample size is 5. And let's see. And for this question mark here, right, we are going to put in the chi-square statistic, and that's this number right here, 6.250. All right. And then we are going to put the actual p-value that we have, which was 0.181. So p equals 0.181. And that is how you do the Pearson's, sorry, not the Pearson, that's how you do the chi-square test of independence. And you're going to save the Word document as Computer Lab Assignment 9, the chi-square test of independence, and send it to me through Canvas as one PDF document. And I thank you for watching this video, and you have